Warning, the following podcast contains coarse language and spoilers for the film and the title of the podcast.
Now playing movie reviews in 20 Qs.
Hello, good people, and welcome to Movie Reviews in 20 Qs. I'm your host, Liz, and I am here with regular guest star Emily Higgins of the Tasteless podcast. How you doing, Emily?
Hey, I'm excited for all ladies movie reviews in 20Q. We are the female reboot, except you're also the star of the real one, so you're like the crossover. Like when they made Gal Gadot do Shazam, and I'm Shazam.
I mean, I am a star. You're a star. We're all stars. We basically are the main reason to listen, I guess. I thank you for joining me with such a last-minute invitation to the show. Eagle-eared listeners will notice that Sam is, in fact, not here. He has some stuff going on, so I'll be hosting the next few episodes, but we'll make sure that he is mocked as much as he usually would be so that he doesn't feel too much FOMO. So, hey, Sam, you suck. That's all I got for now. I'll work on it. All right.
If he's hitting play on his own podcast, he should expect that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I actually make fun of him in a later answer, so that works out well too. Something for him to look forward to. Anyway, today we're doing the absolutely classic film, Old School. I believe we may have done it previously, but it's not available for regular listeners, and I wanted to do it, so too bad, so sad. The film is 20 years old this year, having come out in 2003. I don't know if that makes any other listeners feel pretty old school, because it sure does me. It was directed by Todd Phillips and stars Luke Wilson as Mitch, Vince Vaughn as Beanie, Will Ferrell as Frank, Ellen Pompeo as Nicole, Juliette Lewis as Heidi, and Jeremy Piven as Dean Pritchard, as well as a bunch more familiar faces throughout the film. It scores 7 out of 10 on IMDb, 54% on Metacritic, wow, and 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. Emily, would you like to summarize the plot?
Yeah. Luke Wilson, dreamy Luke Wilson, has to move because his wife cheats on him. And so he moves into what turns out to be student housing, zoned as student housing by a guy who doesn't like him. So they have to start a frat to keep him in his house or he's going to have to move. So a bunch of middle-aged guys start a frat.
That's a really good summary. I like that. That was tight and concise. And you are correct. Luke Wilson is the dreamy brother of the Wilson brothers. I don't really like Owen Wilson.
But the third Wilson is attractive, the third hidden Wilson.
There's a third Wilson?
Mm-hmm. There's a third Wilson.
Is this just like Larry Hemsworth? Like the third brother out of The Good Place? Like, he doesn't really exist.
Yeah, but he's real and he looks good.
Okay, I'll Google that later. I look forward to it. Anyway, I guess we should get into the podcast. So we're going to kick off with our compliment sandwich, which is where you will give one good thing, one bad thing, one good thing to the film. If you really loved it, you might give it a hyperbole sandwich, one good thing, one great thing, one good thing. If you didn't like it, you would give it a shit sandwich, one bad thing, one good thing, one bad thing. So why don't you start us off, Emily, with your sandwich?
I'm gonna go with a compliment sandwich. I watched it for the first time and I was really mostly thrilled. My favorite part, all the small roles were just people that I love, like Rob Corddry for 1 minute, Alicia Cuthbert for 2 minutes, like Leah Remini for 1 minute. Everybody that I like was there for just a second and then they'd be gone. Matt Walsh, like all these great improv people populated the entire background of the film. So I love seeing someone pop up and be like, I love that person.
Yeah, 100%. And Snoop Dogg.
And Snoop Dogg, poor Snoop Dogg, who got bullied into it.
So good, though. So worth it. For me.
I was shocked when Vince Vaughn announced that the musical guest was Snoop Dogg. I was like, oh my God, just like everyone at that party. How'd he do it? With Speaker City, how'd he get Snoop Dogg?
I know. I was trying to remember because I've seen this movie. I love this movie, but I couldn't remember who it was. Yeah, when it came out, Snoop Dogg. I was surprised as well. So
the bad thing I will say is, so I had missed this in the kind of group of like older guys trying to recapture their youth movies. I think there are a lot. Kind of Hangover is probably the ultimate example of it. This kind of fell by the wayside. I kind of get why. You see how all these ideas were recycled into other things. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just one of many of these, and it has Luke Wilson, so it's charming enough to get by. But I get why it's not. It's kind of like Euro Trip versus American Pie, where you're like, That one was also good, but it just wasn't the juggernaut. So if I hadn't seen it, I would probably be okay, but I'm glad I saw it because my end of my compliment sandwich, my other piece of bread, why are we misusing Luke Wilson? He's so good in this. He's so good. He's a great leading man. He's a great, like, in his own right. Of course, he's great opposite in Legally Blonde, right? Like, 100%. As the romantic interest. But he should just be the star. He has it. He has it. And this movie uses him well because you know what they don't do? They don't make him like Jason Bateman, like, I'm the sad, grumpy guy, and everyone else is trying to make me have fun. It's like, no, he's a regular guy.
Yeah.
It was perfect. And that's why I liked it. If the main character had been any Jason Bateman character, I would not have liked this movie.
No, and I could see them putting him in, but he would not have been the right choice. Okay, so how many tranquilizer darts are you giving this film out of 10,000?
I will say a solid 6,600 tranquilizer darts of, I enjoyed it. If it was on TV, I would leave it on. I won't buy the Blu-ray, but I liked it.
Wow, that's low. I'll allow it, but I'm slightly disappointed. I'm not even mad. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. It's fine. Because I clearly love this movie. Look, I would agree. It's not like my number one of this sort of cluster of movies that this sort of crew have been in, but it's right up there for me. So, look, I am going to give the first statement I make about it as a good one. It has a great script. There's some quality one-liners in this. It took me a while to pin down a few for our fan favorite question later. Definitely a couple of things I thought, I need to use those again. I need to just bring those out in like ongoing society. So I'll work on that.
Someone screaming, "You're my boy Blue." Was that a reference to something else, or is it a reference to this movie?
I think it's this movie. Like, that's definitely an iconic line in this film. Okay. But I don't know if he pulls it from something else. But yeah, I would definitely be referencing this movie if I was like, "You're my boy Blue," which I'm not going to lie to you, I have used that line. So yeah, so look, I love that. Love the dialogue. I think it's great. My great thing, wow, surprise. I know. I don't do a lot of hyperbole sandwiches, but I wanted to give one to this. So my great thing is the music. I think this has a phenomenal soundtrack. There's just some quality music in this. You've already heard one of my favorite songs from the film at the start of the episode. It's just on point. And like, yeah, I really rate it. And finally, my other good thing is I just think it's a good, simple and funny story. You know, it's a nice, easy kind of thing to do. It's a nicey thing to watch. And it's funny. Like, it'll make you laugh. So I'm going to give this film 12,275 tranquilizer darts. So roughly twice as much as what you've given it. It's something I can always put on. I know I'm going to laugh. It's not like my favorite movie of all time, but it's a solid hyperbole for me. Yeah, that's quality.
I respect that. I get it. I was watching it and I was like, I get it. I was missing out.
To be fair, I think part of it is because it holds a place in my heart from when I first watched it, you know? So, like, it's got that sentimental value. Probably if I just watched it now, I wouldn't be as high, but too bad, so sad. That's what I'm going with. Shut up. Okay. Don't shut up. You have to ask the next question. So,
I know. Good luck. Good luck to you. All right. Question number 2. What character best represents the other podcaster?
Okay. So, bear with me here because you might be offended, but bear with me. I'm going Beanie for you. Bernard, like Vince Vaughn's character.
I want a Speaker City.
Yeah, well, you want a Speaker City, obviously. Look, he's funny, he's successful, and he's got strong opinions, and he is not afraid to share them. So that's what I'm going with.
That's good. It's sad that I think every character in this movie, I have to also be like, don't be offended. But, you know what I mean? For any character in this movie. Here's what I was thinking. The only person in this movie I have any respect for, Will Ferrell's wife. Didn't even learn the actress's name. I'm so sorry to that woman. Here's why. She realized it sucked and she got out. She's like, you know what? Let's get a divorce. I'm not doing this. I was like, you're the only... I mean, look at the other women in this film. Ellen Pompeo, who's with that loser.
Yep.
Cuthbert is a child. Leah Remini also hates her husband. That is the only woman that actually... took what she wanted and
has some self-respect. Yeah.
Has like strong female friendships, has like living a good life, doesn't need Will Ferrell's nudity in it. So I was like,
you.
who do I respect in this movie? This woman who, I wish I knew that actress's name.
Yeah, I was like, oh, really? Because she's a bit of a killjoy, but I do like how you put that, so I'll take it and assume it's a compliment. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Killjoy.
And look, it'll beat whatever Sam would have said because he always picks the most horrible one to compare me to. So who would we make Sam? Are there any bald characters in this? I don't think so.
No, everyone has a full, Matt Walsh has been, Matt Walsh has hair. Does Artie Lang have hair? No, yeah, everybody. Rob Corddry. Rob Corddry could not have had hair. He's never had hair.
Oh, there you go. That's you, Sam. You're Rob Corddry. All right. Moving on to question 3. What scene will you remember from this film on your deathbed?
Okay, the obvious one I have to go with is when they're all sucking on carrots, because I just kept thinking, imagine being the actress who has to do this scene. You're on set with the 5 other actresses, all the crew guys. You do it. You say your embarrassing line. You're fondling imaginary carrot balls. And then they go, okay, reset, do it again. And you just have to do this in front of all of those other adults. I would die.
Yeah.
Oh, so I just was thinking about how horrible that would be.
That is legit, actually. Yeah, I wouldn't do that party either. No, thank you. That's just not for me.
Well, no. Oh,
I'm a massive prude, but even so, that's just not right.
Same.
Yeah. I don't know, for some reason, the scene I always remember from this film, and I have no idea why, is Vince Vaughn puffing on a cigarette when he's doing the rings and he's lifting himself up on the rings. I just always have this mental picture of him doing that when, and I think partly it's because the rings are fucking hard. If you watch the guys that do them in the Olympics or whatever, it's out of control. But I also have a soft spot for Will Ferrell doing the floor routine because it's so graceful and elegant, and really you couldn't have had anyone else do that routine but him.
No, and it made me think of actually Blades of Glory and him doing beautiful routines. And I was like, you really buy it either way.
I thought of Jazz Flute in Anchorman. I thought, he is quite a musical chap and has a real rhythm to him. So no wonder he was doing the rhythmic gymnastics, I guess.
Right.
That was top notch.
Question number 4. What scene was sorely missing from this film?
It was quite hard to think of something because I think it's well put together, but I decided it had to be Frank turning up to Heidi's place and just discovering a super weird orgy.
You're right.
I could just imagine what they could, you could have just gone to town and had some weird ass shit in there, and Frank would have just been like, this is my heaven.
They could have tagged it on at the end with the credits. I'm shocked that they didn't. That would have fit so well.
Because they could have actually had that scene with him in the credits, the scene where she invites him. That could have just been part of the whole film, the end of the film. That would have been fine. What would you done?
Related to Will Ferrell's floor routine, as I was thinking when he did it, when they were all doing their little bits, I was like, God, they're not good. They don't have to be good. That's the joke. But you never see that with women. So I was thinking, God, in a movie like this, if it was starring women, we would get routine practice of that dance number.
Yes,
that dance number that they did so badly. I cannot think of a single movie where I've seen women just do a bad dance number. You know what I mean? They're always perfectly in sync. Yes. And I was like, I want to see these guys practicing, doing a really good job in the practice, and then delivering exactly what they delivered at the finals. That just
yes, I think
nothing.
That's awesome. Because they must have been taught it by the cheerleaders. They just went to the cheerleaders and went, look, just teach us a routine. Yeah. Teach us your basic, run-of-the-mill high school routine. Keep it simple. That would have been great if they just had a little scene of some hot cheerleaders just trying to teach them how to do things.
A training montage, and the cheerleaders were too hot. And that's why they did such a bad job when they actually did it.
Yes. And they would have been great too if they'd had multiple clips of Frank the Tank making it through the ring on fire, and he did it perfectly every time. And so you're watching, you're like, this will be fine. And then no. But that bit is fucking hilarious, where he just lands straight on top of the flaming ring of fire, and he's just on fire.
But in the same vein, I was like, where's our trying on outfits montage,
Yeah. Yeah, look, this movie has something for everyone, but that would have brought more for the women, I think, if they're trying to... Because I like the little outfits that they chose for the frat uniform, when they were walking around in their nice vest and shirt. They look really elegant.
Yeah.
I thought it was really classy. Yeah.
It was a great look on Luke.
Yeah, definitely. But even Vince Vaughn pulled that off. I've always had a soft spot for Vince Vaughn. I have no idea why, actually, because he's such an ass, but
In
I have a lot
everything.
of time
But
for him.
here's where he's hottest. Have you ever seen the remake of Psycho?
No.
He plays Norman Bates in a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho where Anne Heche was killed in the shower and Julianne Moore, I believe it's her sister, comes look for her. Anyway, everybody hates that movie because why do a shot-for-shot remake of a Hitchcock?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But here's the thing. He plays a character very gay, and I'm very into it.
Interesting. I'm going to check that. Well, I'll at least check out a little bit of it. I'm scared of horrors, so I don't know, like, I'll watch the whole thing or anything.
Just look at a picture. If you Google him in the movie, it's like very 90s, this man is gay. You know
All right,
what I mean?
all right. In fact, I'm going to look it up now.
And I'm very into it. I feel like he might wear a turtleneck. Like I just and Norman Bates was not gay, but of course the actor was.
was he? I love how you're like, obviously, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't even know who it was. Who was it?
Of course. What's his face?
That guy was a shirt.
God, I can't think of his name now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see it. That's a shirt.
I'm very into that.
That is
Vince
a
Vaughn.
shirt.
I might be into the shirt, and that's
Yeah, I want to buy my boyfriend this shirt somehow. I wonder if I can. That'll be amazing.
Google Vince Vaughn Psycho
You
shirt.
won't be disappointed, team.
See what you get.
That's our gift to you for today. Oh, amazing. All right. Question 5. What was the biggest dick move of the movie? And there were a few, actually. This was a tough one.
There were so many. Here's the biggest dick move of the movie to me, Emily. To say in their cast that they have Leah Remini and then have her in the background holding a baby for 20 seconds and deliver one line in a car. That was a real dick move to me. It really felt cruel because I thought, oh, Leah Remini never gets to star in movies. She's going to get to at least be the wife that nags in this kind of movie. Who's like, why aren't you at home, Vince Vaughn? Doesn't even do that. Don't even see her long enough to be nagged by her. The movie itself was a dick to me.
Controversial opinion, but I see where you're coming from. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, actually. I kind of liked it that they made Beanie out to, like, really hate his wife and stuff, but then actually he wasn't, like, it wasn't your typical where he was a total douche to her or she was, like, a total psycho. Like, I kind of like that they did that. He was just kind of like, yeah, I'm a grown-up. It sucks.
He hung with his kids.
Yeah.
Like, he always was
He was
with
actually a
his
pretty
kids.
good dad, actually. Like, earmuffs, super cute.
He made him put the little earmuffs.
Yeah, fuck shit whore. It's just an example. You don't actually have to swear.
Right.
I'm going to go with when Mark claimed that Mitch harassed the waitress when he was actually the one being gross himself. After he'd like called bro code. Bro code doesn't apply.
The worst part of that was when he told Ellen Pompeo he was harassing
Yes.
a cater waiter, meaning he knew he was harassing. He didn't just think, oh, she was into it, I was flirting. He knew he knew he was gross. That was really, I was like, oh, you don't usually admit to it.
Yeah, no, that was definite
Gross.
projection. Ugh, so gross. I just didn't understand why you wouldn't lock the door. If you're cheating on your partner at a party, like just lock the
Bizarre.
door, man. You're in a bathroom. It has a lock. Although actually, does mine have a lock?
And then he's mad that he didn't knock.
Yeah. He was like, oh, are we not knocking? And I'm like, are you not locking? Like, what a dumbass.
Right. I mean, if I had to pick a moment in the film, because they were all such dicks, I was really horrified by Vince Vaughn at the wedding talking shit, like at the altar.
Oh, yeah.
That was the most rude. And I was like, Vince, we just started this movie. You already got to be a jerk. Come on, man. Why?
Yeah, and I love that the two other groomsmen obviously can hear him and are just not even reacting or saying anything. They're just like, oh, yeah, that's legit. Like,
I wouldn't either.
fine.
I would just silently hope it stopped.
yeah.
Question number 6. What character would you definitely not get to house sit your place?
Well, I couldn't pick. I've got 3 because I feel like, well, look, frankly, you probably wouldn't want anyone. But
No.
if you picked Beanie, he'd turn the house into a fraternity, and I don't want that. If you picked Blue, he might die, and then so would my houseplants. And then what's the point of having him house sitting? And if you picked Heidi, God knows what you'd end up with on all the surfaces of your house. So, like, you're really
God.
limited on your options, right?
Yeah, I think the harder question would be, who would you pick?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
They're all monsters. So I wouldn't pick Ellen Pompeo, and here's why. Ellen Pompeo is such a bad judge of character that I feel like she'd be over there checking the mail, checking my cats, and someone would knock on the door and be like, I'm not a murderer. And she'd be like, come on in, steal all the TVs. You seem nice. Like, she just had so little awareness. My cats would be dead. The plants would be dead. I feel like at least some of those other guys would fulfill the tasks until if they're blue, they died. Heidi would get stuff on all your furniture, but she'd probably water the plants.
Yeah, that's fair. She had some weird art on her walls, did Heidi? Did you see that at the start? There's some really fucked up paintings, like Goya style, I think. Anyway, so random side note.
I was really just upset by her bleach blonde hair on Juliette Lewis. I was like, this is not how I like my Juliette Lewis.
No, but I do like Juliette Lewis, so I was glad that she was there at all. I totally see what you're saying about Nicole. What really cracked me up with her was that, like, she's really angry at him about all the stuff, and then all it takes for her to turn around on him is that it turns out her partner was cheating on her, and then it's like it doesn't matter that those high school girls were, like, chatting him up or that he seems to be the head of a fraternity or whatever else she had problems with.
She had no...
Oh, my other boyfriend's cheating on me, so I might as well go to this other guy who still seems like a total psycho, but at least he's not cheating on me.
But who also knew when she was like, I'm going out with Mark. He's like, oh, I waited too long to ask you out for dinner, but do you want to go out for dinner tomorrow? So it's like, he's not a good guy.
No. You're pretty hot, Ellen Pompeo. You could do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone in this movie could do better.
What kind of example are you setting for your daughter? I'm just saying.
Poor daughter.
Especially since the daughter is there when Frank brings out the sex doll. You know, like he's just like, oh,
yeah.
Look at what, and I'm just like, she's right there. That was not okay.
What, nurse or what? What was the other costume?
Oh, police? Was it policewoman?
Probably.
I can't remember. Not ideal, but a good partner for Frank. So our next question is actually a Patreon question from the man Chris Yenny, who is in fact the man. What on the nose song would you insert into this movie and where?
Very on the nose. Forever Young, Rod Stewart, When Blue is in the wrestling tub, just as he croaks.
Oh, I like it.
Just as those girls
nice.
coming up on him.
Look, at least he died doing what he loved.
I was thinking that. I almost asked something about that. Like, I was like, that seems like he's fine. He's having a good time. It's harder for everyone else there at that party.
Yeah, I'd be pretty traumatized if I was the girls.
It is their fault, honestly. They did it.
To be fair, though, they had excellent breasts. They were very nice breasts.
They shouldn't have taken their top off. That's what killed him. They did that.
Yeah, but can you blame them? They had exquisite breasts. How would you, if your breasts looked like that, you'd want to get them out. Don't even try and tell me that you wouldn't.
Even if they're like, there's a 50% chance someone will die, you go, you know what? Gotta take it.
It's worth it. It's worth it. Look at these. Look at these. That's what you'd be like. Yeah, I wouldn't even be in that pool. That KW jelly would be so gross.
Ugh,
would that just feel disgusting?
Oh. And just that other people were in it before, there's like definitely at minimum lint in there, okay? People's hair. The amount that I shed hair, the amount of cat hair I carry around on me all the time, I'd be getting so much hair in that tub of KY jelly.
That'd be so gross. And I think how expensive it would have been to make that whole fucking paddling pool of KY jelly. Like, ugh. I can't afford that. Yeah. I found this question quite hard as well because I actually, like I said, I think the soundtrack is fucking banging and I think they do such a good job. Like, they put in really good music at every perfect point. But I've decided on We Belong by Pat Benatar because I feel it's in the vibe of the film. And I'm doing it when Mark drives his car off the bridge into Dean Pritchard because I was like, they do belong together. I love that. It was such an unexpected end credit scene. I just did not see that coming, but it was solid. Like, it was such a great way to sort of close it out.
Well, it was weird for Jeremy Piven to be kind of like dorky guy.
Yeah. I reckon he would have had such a fun time playing that role.
Yeah. On one of these movies, it must be like when Adam Sandler takes you to Hawaii and you're doing one of his movies. Like, you must be having a nice time. You guys are buds, having fun.
Oh, totally. They were like, oh, would you come be in this film with us? And he's like, oh, I get to be one of the cool kids in the cool movie. And they're like, you're the villain. And he'd be like, I don't even care. I'm included.
Yeah, you're gross. You have a sweater vest, loser.
But then he is quite gross, isn't he, Jeremy Piven?
Yeah.
Isn't he, like, quite problematic?
He is.
Yeah.
He also did one of the funniest things of all time, which is he had some like Broadway play. He had some play and he was doing so bad and the reviews were so bad that then he said he got mercury poisoning and he couldn't do the play anymore and cancel all the shows. I believe he was in breach of contract because he did that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
He said he was really sick. And everyone was like, no, nobody liked you in it and you're trying to get out of it.
Why would you choose mercury poisoning? That's such a random choice.
From like fish?
Like
He ate too much fish?
I just feel like you'd go, I don't know, chicken pox or something. You know, like there's options that would seem more believable than fucking mercury poisoning.
He really went for
That's
it
so
to be
weird.
like, I cannot come back to the show, please.
That is so weird. What a fucking weirdo.
What a weirdo. Okay. Speaking of weirdos, question number 8. What quote from this film would be the worst to hear immediately after having sex?
All right, so the easy one to start with is, you tell anyone about this, I'll fucking kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't be great. I also liked, I was obsessed with you. Not in a dangerous way. I just watched you a lot from a distance.
I thought that was cute.
But do you want to hear that after you've had sex with someone? Like, you're kind of like, oh, I've just had sex with the stalker and I've probably just made him want to kill me. So, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
And don't say sorry to me. Say sorry to the baby.
Oh, no. Yeah. I would not want to hear that.
You just don't even know which baby they're talking. Like, are you talking about a baby you're going to have, or the baby? Is there a baby in the room? Regardless, it's not okay.
Imagine you didn't know there was a baby in the room and it turns out there is.
So sorry to the baby. You'd be like, oh my God, I am the world's worst human being.
Oh, no.
Yeah. What's yours?
I went with just one. Don't worry, the pledges will clean it up.
Nice. Ah, that's why I need a fraternity.
They were like, do whatever you want.
Clean my whole house. I had a runner-up, and it was, you think KFC is still open? Because if I heard that, that might have meant that I just had sex with Sam, and that would be really, really terrible.
I would love if that was Sam's line.
I know. I felt like as soon as I heard that line, I was like, well, I obviously have to bring that up in the podcast, and how can I do it in a way that makes fun of Sam the most? So that's what I will choose. Yeah. Poor Sam.
That would be a good pickup line. Not good after sex, good pickup line. You think KFC is still open?
Yeah.
Just somebody at the bar?
100%. You'd be like, yeah, man, I'll live with you to go get KFC.
Yeah.
All right, question 9. Which side character would make for the best spin-off movie?
Okay, I don't know how they would do this and not make it gross, but what is up with Alicia Cuthbert? Like, what is going on there? She's in high school. Oh no, what life is she leading that she was just like so chill? Because I thought it was going to be, she was like obsessed with him or something because they're like, oh, look, she's a young girl. Like, they had sex for the first time, blah, 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 blah. No, she just brushed it off like, oh, it happens. What life are you leading that just happens? What's going on?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. She's super chill about it. She's just like, I just had casual sex with a dude who was obviously over 30. This guy's double my age probably, and it's fine.
And again, I feel like this kind of movie very often like vilifies women, and this doesn't. And that she doesn't come and threaten him. She doesn't say, I'm going to tell. She doesn't say, she's just like, don't worry, my dad won't know. Oops, sorry, Ellen Pompeo. Bye. Peace.
Yeah. With that bit, I was just like, Darcy, come on, read the room. Like, why do you think this is a good idea to come and talk to him at this point?
Because she's 16.
Oh, true. There's a good life lesson for you, Darcy. What are you doing? I do think it would be horrifying, but it could be a cautionary tale, I suppose.
No, she's done this 50 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good on her. You embrace your sexuality, Darcy. Woo. Anyway, I am going to go with Blue. And that is especially because my granddad was also called Blue and was also in the Navy. So I've decided that I am this Blue's granddaughter in old school canon. So they obviously need to make a movie about that. And then I would get to meet Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. No.
The good one.
Luke Wilson and Frank the Tank.
I did have the horrible thought. I mean, I guess, no, I think it's nice. It's a nice thought when they were at his funeral and they had that picture up. I was like, he was hot. That like Navy picture of him. I was like, who's that?
I wondered if it was actually him. Like, I wondered if that guy was
too.
actually in the Navy back in the day. I meant to Google it and I forgot. I'm going to look that up.
Or if they just bought like a stock photo somewhere.
So the actor was Patrick Cranshaw. He is an American character actor.
Ooh.
He is best known for one of his last roles, that of Joseph Blue Pulaski, a fraternity brother in the hit comedy Old
no. That was one of his last roles.
Imagine that being your... there you go. He became interested in acting while entertaining American troops as a member of the Army Air Forces before World War II.
Jesus.
So he was never in the military. There you go. But he entertained them before World War II. Man, he's old. Old school, one might say. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, he was old 20 years ago.
He'd be absolutely decrepit now. I guess he's probably dead. I should look that up too. Okay, hold on. Oh, he died of pneumonia, aged 86. He only died 3 years later. Oh, wait. That's hilarious. They've got that he died in December 28, 2005, and then under... in the little box on Wikipedia, it's got years active, and it says 1950 to 2006. So apparently he was active after his death.
Maybe he recorded some stuff that came out later.
I like to think that they recorded his corpse for something.
I hope not. I hope not.
Speaking of corpses, what's the next question, Emily?
Oh, question number 10. Which character would you get to help you hide a dead body?
Okay, so I feel like you could do either Andy Dick or Sean William Scott, because both of them seem like they're good in a crisis. Yeah, it was Stifler. Come on.
No, Andy Dick. Stifler I recognize, although upset by the mullet.
Yeah, either of those characters. They can keep a secret. They definitely would keep a secret. They're good in a crisis. They will just solve your shit, and they'll have fun with it. They'll roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy Dick I think is, he can keep a secret for sure. I went very classic, very boring. Vince Vaughn. Beans? Is that his name? It's a horrible
Beanie.
name. Beanie.
I don't know why.
Beanie is less
he's
embarrassing than Beans. Ugh. Beanie.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. He is classic, like he knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. He knows somebody who I'm sure has a dump site, he knows a guy who can borrow a truck. He knows, he's going to obfuscate this whole thing. There's going to be so many layers to it. He's going to turn it into a mission. He's so bored at home. He's going to make this his task. I'm not even going to be connected to it anymore.
He'll buy gadgets and shit that'll do it. He'll go out and buy lime and whatever else you're supposed to use to get rid of dead bodies, which I totally don't know anything about at all. I'm not
a big barrel of lime.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of these characters, you could get the whole bloody fraternity to do it. That could be one of the hazing things. Yeah.
Yeah. And they would, which is so sad.
Yeah. Anyway, question 11. What item from this film would you want or definitely not want to be?
I do not want to be that passed around bread maker. That was so sad. Nobody wanted it. Will Ferrell didn't even remember getting it from Luke Wilson. That was so rude. And you know what?
Or giving it to him.
Or getting it from Luke Wilson, then giving it to him, then giving it to the kid.
Yeah.
And Luke Wilson was so gracious about it that he had gifted Will Ferrell that. Will Ferrell tried to give it back, and then he watched Will Ferrell give it to a kid. He was so gracious, so kind. He just kind of was like, well, okay. And it was so sad, and that kid isn't excited. That thing's going in the trash.
It cracked me up that Will Ferrell was so eager for him to open it as well. He was just like, yeah, here's this present I'm giving you. You're going to love it. I was like, would you not just hide that on the table and be like, I just gave you a present. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
The kid's not going to want a bread maker, man. What are you thinking, Frank?
It was really weird that he made him open it in front of him.
Yeah. Not a lot good judgment there.
That was the biggest dick move.
That was dumb. I am going with Andy Dick's carrot.
Oh.
Because that was just way too much teeth, I gotta say. If you watch it, he's literally scraping the skin off the carrot. No, that's not how.
No, you don't want to be anything that's touching Andy Dick.
Well, that's true, actually. I wouldn't want to go in Andy Dick's mouth altogether. But he also, the way he was treating it was just wrong. It was very, very bad.
Why did one girl get a zucchini and everybody else got a carrot? Sarah Shahi got a cucumber or a zucchini. Rude.
Just that whole scene was just fucking dire.
It really was. That's the one scene with more than one woman. And it's just so awful.
Yeah, does this movie pass the Bechdel test? I don't know if it does.
No, because I think when we have the 4 women in the car, they're just talking about like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I'm going to Google it.
There's no way.
Okay, old school Bechdel test. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It is bad, listeners. It's really not hard to pass the Bechdel test.
I'm surprised it got 2.
Oh, it had 2 named women talking to each other.
Right.
Like 2 women with names, but they just
Right.
never talked about something that wasn't a man. Yeah. That's appalling. All right, what's question 12?
Question number 12. A la Sixth Sense, what character could have been dead the whole time and no one knew?
I'm going with Frank, just because I'm surprised he made it to adulthood at all, frankly. Frankly, I don't even mean to do that.
But really shouldn't have.
So I just don't think he did. I think he died, and then they're all like, Frank the Ghost is around. He's always like that. Although that would mean that they knew, but he was just the same kind of guy as a ghost, and they're all kind of like, this is fine.
This is fine. I know. Well, the fact that he used to be that he clearly stopped drinking because of what horrible things happened before.
Yeah. So obviously he died.
I don't even want to know.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you picking?
I am going with the guy who got his penis pulled down the sewer drain. Because we see him throughout, like, the rest, like, in the background, you know, he has to do the high jump, etc. But he could have been dead. He should have been dead. I would have died. Just, even if it didn't actually rip his penis off and he didn't die of blood loss or, like, something got necrotic, wouldn't you die of shock?
Yeah. That's legit, actually. I'm not going to lie. I did, in fact, laugh at that bit. That is a quality scene.
I was just so shocked.
It's just
Like,
so ridiculous. And I was just watching that and I was like, why would you do this? Why are men? Why are men that this is a thing that they do?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see women tying a rope around our boob.
And this was one where I was like, did they come up with that, or had someone heard of someone doing it to someone else? You know what I mean? Like, is this just something that maybe has happened before on the earth before this movie?
Oh, I reckon that's it. I reckon that they've seen it. Someone read it about a Florida university. It's got to be Florida.
100%.
And was like,
yeah.
perfect. Speaking of why are men, I will ask you question 13, which is, who would you cast in a gender-swapped reboot of this film?
Okay, I have the perfect cast. As I was watching, because I was thinking about, like, this kind of movie, the actresses that are in this kind of movie that I haven't seen in a little bit in this kind of movie, because they only do it when they're younger, because they're like, they're the wife, you know, okay. As Luke Wilson, Rose Byrne.
Nice.
100%. Straight man, like, basically her neighbor's character, sort of like the straight man, but she can get crazy. Love her in that. Okay. As Vince Vaughn, Cameron Diaz.
Ooh.
Bad teacher vibes.
Okay, yep.
Will Ferrell, Kristen Wiig.
Okay.
Easy.
Yep.
And Jeremy Piven, let's bring back from the early 2000s, like, sex comedies. Let's bring back Selma Blair.
Ooh.
A little bit of a smaller role. She's kind of the one that's coming down on them. I was like, oh, this is what I want to watch.
Yeah, I like it. That's awesome. What about Nicole? Did you have one for Nicole?
I didn't cast any men. You know what? Who could be there? Chris Hemsworth. Let him in.
Well, let me start with my cast of those 5. Nicole is Chris Hemsworth. He's just your go-to eye candy when he's the token man because he just knows his place. Like, he just knows he is there to just look pretty and shut up while the women do their work. So good. He is perfect. I have all different for the other ones, but although I did like your options. So for Mitch, I'm going with Anne Hathaway.
Oh.
I just feel like she could play the straight lace, but a little bit, you know, getting into it and having fun. For Beanie, I'm going with Emily Blunt, just because she takes no shit. And I could just see her just being like, how fucking dare you, Anne Hathaway? Like, we are doing this. I own Speaker City. Here's Snoop Dogg. And then I went a bit off kilter with Frank, but I'm sticking with my choice. I'm going with Brie Larson. Can you see it, or is that crazy?
All right. No, you know what? I think she needs that right now, because right now, her and her Instagram, all her selfies with all her little 2001's captions about, like, I'm weird. I love food. She needs a Will Ferrell-esque role to catapult her back into, like, we are here for your talent, Brie.
Yeah, I feel like
she
just
should
needs
do
to
it.
let loose, get crazy, and just go streaking to the gymnasium because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And then finally, I had Kate McKinnon for Dean Pritchard because she would love doing that. Yeah,
she'd be perfect. Yeah,
yeah. But I like Selma Blair though. I thought that was inspired. That works.
I would watch both these movies.
Yeah, someone needs to make these movies. That's an easy decision. All right. Do you want to ask me your questions?
Let's get into it. Okay. Question number 14. Todd Phillips directed this film, Road Trip, The Hangover, and went on to direct Joker. What's the most surprising movie in someone's filmography?
Well, as the renowned film expert that you and all the listeners know me to be, I clearly answered this question so easily. No, I went and looked up a whole bunch of different answers, and the one I've decided on is Bridges of Madison County by Clint Eastwood. Just because he just did
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like he's just all westerns and man movies, right? And then to go and do this romance one. And he literally, I was reading like this article where he was just like, this romance stuff is really hard. I was like, why did you choose to do this? Just go back to your man movies.
But there is something about it that I like respect because you're getting a different sort of take on the genre.
Oh, totes. And it's pretty well regarded, isn't it, that film?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get shit on for it, so I'm sure that also helps. I'm sure when you do one of these movies and everyone's like, that sucked, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done it. But when it goes well, you're like, yeah, go me.
See, I could do
nailed
things.
It.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love when you find out. I feel like when you watch like a shitty movie, what I like, a bad movie, and then you find out you're like, oh, this person also directed Bridges of Madison County, something good. And I'm just like, oh, this is your one embarrassing spot. And Todd Phillips kind of has the opposite of all of these, like, quote unquote, in the industry embarrassing spots, and this surprise, like, Oscar darling, critic darling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I suppose everyone can have the occasional fuck up, right? Or can fuck up all the time and therefore have the occasional good up, glow up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Just that they even trusted him with Joker, you know, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
All right, question number 15. Jesse Heisman, who I'm wondering if you recognized him, famous extra who made out with Bar Raffaele in the GoDaddy commercials, is in this film. Briefly, I clocked him immediately. His credits include hot dog buying guy, third UFO enthusiast, and locker room student with inhaler, just to name a few. Which of his roles would you want to take on?
I did actually say, hey, that guy, when I saw him. So there you go.
Guy.
I think I recognize him from Chuck, because I think he was like one of the guys working in the Best Buy in Buy-more in Chuck.
It has another name, yeah.
Yeah. So I was
like
just
Speaker City.
that guy. And then so when I saw your question, I was like, I wonder if it's that guy. And then I Googled it. I was like, it's that guy. So then I went and looked at his entire credit list, which you are correct, is extensive and very varied. And it sounds like he has a fun life, actually.
Yeah.
I am going to go with guy using water fountain in Parks and Recreation for two reasons. The first is because I would be hydrated, which is always a plus. I am not good at staying hydrated.
Yeah.
Drink water, bitch. And secondly, I'd get to hang out with the cast of Parks and Recreation, which is like my favorite show. So it's a fucking no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure if Sam was here, he would choose making out with Bar Raffaele in that commercial.
I just remember when it came out, it led to so much discussion of, oh, why does this gross guy get? And then we're being like, stop calling him gross. Like, no, but really look at him. Just like, oh boy, imagine that being the news cycle around your commercial.
Yeah, cut the guy some slack. But I guess he makes money out of looking a little weird and like being a bit quirky. So, hey, good on you, buddy, I guess.
Well, that's the joke of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole point of it is that he's like weird and sad. He was in so many of these like teen movies as like, look at that weirdo. And he made his money.
Well, I mean, if your options are, I look like a weirdo freak and girls don't want to have sex with me, so I am either going to go and be a weirdo freak in movies and make money and make out with Bar Raffaele, or I am going to go and be an incel and shoot up a fucking school. I think the first option is a better choice. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If those are your choices.
But he gets laid like nobody's business.
He seems like a guy who probably has a gorgeous wife and like a family.
Yeah.
And he's just like, bye guys, today I'm going to be on the new Marvel movie. Bye guys, today I'm in the new Star Trek. Bye guys. You know, like he's just like, I need to go work with like Clint Eastwood. Bye.
Yeah, totally. He's either like this really lovely, amazing guy or he's a total psychopath. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think doing extra work for that long could turn you into a psycho because you have to just sit there and wait. You just sit there all day. It's like cold. You're just waiting. Everybody else is eating good food. You're standing in a corner trying not to get COVID.
Sounds like a rough life. Rough life.
Tough.
Speaking of rough lives, what's your next question?
Speaking of rough lives, question number 16. How would you haze pledges in your fraternity?
Okay, so I'm just going to replicate all of the trials from the Stonecutters. Like, that's a peddling. I may have just rewatched that Simpsons episode literally yesterday. It's just hilarious because it's like, first it's I can't remember the name of all of them, but it's like the Valley of 1,000 Strikes. And then so he walks through and like they'll slap him on the ass with the pedal. And then he's like, and now it's the something else. And he walks back. And then they're like, okay, now you're done. And it's the paddling of the swollen ass. He'll paddle him again. I'm not very creative. I'm sorry. The hazing thing is weird.
I don't understand how they come up with all these things.
Yeah. It's just a weird concept to me. Why would I do this to people?
I wonder, it must still happen, but I guess to a lesser extent, you have to keep it on the DL, but it just is so weird. I don't think I'd want a friend that badly.
Nah.
I'd rather be alone.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if you're like, it's one of these ones where your dad's like pushing you into it because it's gets you into like the society that'll mean that you'll have all the connections when you're, you're just like, well, I have to do whatever I have to do to get in here because otherwise I screwed up my whole life.
Yeah, right. When it's like a legacy thing. I mean, I went to a college that had a very big fraternity and sorority presence. And a friend who went there, they like started before me, joined a sorority, but they had to check all your outfits. Like you had to tell them what you were going to wear that night. And I was like, they wouldn't. I said, that's too much work. I'm not doing that. No, thank you.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated by the whole fraternity, sorority, Greek system thing. It's interesting. Speaking of fraternities, that moves us on to my questions. And so question 17, what cool nickname like the Godfather would you have if you were the head of a fraternity?
So it sounds cool on its own. It's not. But my old boss would call me the sheriff because she said that I was always trying to control what was happening. And there's a movie where Rosie O'Donnell plays a mentally disabled woman and her sister calls her the sheriff because she's always trying to control like who's getting on the bus, who's getting off the bus, where they're going. So at first I was like, oh, the sheriff, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then she explained it and I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, yeah, that would be because we were talking before about how the women, who was it? Ellen Pompeo was like kind of the wife, Will Ferrell's wife is kind of like a wet blanket. I'm a wet blanket. I am. I'm like, I would be coming in there like, you guys, you're being too loud. We're going to get in trouble. Hey, are you spilling over there? What's happening? So I would get like a mocking nickname like the sheriff.
But it still sounds cool. So let's just roll with that.
Right.
Yeah. I like it. I don't think that's bad. Okay. Question 18. I had to put this question in. I'm so thrilled with it. Question 18. What is your position on the role of government in supporting innovation in the field of biotechnology?
Here's my genuine feeling. Very important because I want them using that money. We need government money to make fake meats alternatives, like so that we don't have to test on little mice and beagles and stuff. So we got to get them in there, laying that groundwork, getting them the good technology so they don't just have to grab a handful of like outdoor rats and go to town.
I have no notes. That was perfect. Really, I was going to say that no matter what you said. But no, I think that's a legit call. I would also add like vaccines so that you don't have to rely on Pfizer or Modena or something to bring out the latest, because that just seems fucking wrong. Just seems wrong that we're relying on the capitalist system for that.
Yeah, please help me, government. Please. Yeah. Do something. I'm giving you so much money.
Yes. Yes. So do it. Support innovation in the field of biotechnology.
I hope the government listens to this episode of the podcast and they say, Oh, yeah.
These girls are so clever. And when you say the government, it actually, you need both New Zealand and America governments to be doing this. So
The Earth-wide government.
Oh, you're talking like the New World Order. So like the
Yeah.
actual secret government that controls all.
They'll go whisper to your people, my people, and say, hey, we heard a podcast.
So it's the lizard people.
Yeah.
We need the lizard people to listen.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Lizard people, listen up. Okay. And finally, is Beanie a psychopath or a genius for starting a fraternity out of Mitch's place?
He is a psycho for the reasons he did it, because he wasn't trying to just like, it wasn't like, oh, if we do this, we get cheaper rent. It wasn't like, oh, he wasn't running a con. It was like fixing this problem in the craziest way. They should have just helped his friend move somewhere else. Like, it was just, there were other solutions, but he saw a chance to enact chaos and get away from his wife, which was all he really wanted. He wanted his own separate place, which makes him a psycho.
Yeah, wouldn't it have been easier to just build a man cave or something? Or like with your millions of dollars that the government doesn't know about clearly, like just go and rent a fucking, I don't know, a brothel or something. Well, no, not a brothel, because he didn't cheat on his wife, which I really liked, actually. I thought that was really cute how when it actually came to it, he was just like, no, I can't do this, sorry. But you could give me your number in case something happens to my wife.
Put a back room in a speaker city and put a big TV. Like,
yeah.
You own
Make
the
like
building.
a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Where you have to go through a speaker to get to a pub. That would have been way better. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been genius.
But then all these middle-aged dudes were like, this is the best idea ever. I need to join a fraternity. I have nothing. I play golf and I don't even like golf. Why are you playing a sport you don't like?
There were a lot of sad sacks.
I know. So pathetic, right? So pathetic. I'm not pathetic. I do normal human things.
It sounds like just what a human would say. I do normal human things.
Fine, I'm one of the lizard people. I'm a lizard person.
That's how you knew. That's how you asked about government, biotech.
That's right. I needed to know what our next platform should be for, global domination.
To win over the middle of the country, aka me.
Yeah. So before I give away all of my lizard people government secrets, I think that you should go on to our final question, question 20, which is a Patreon question. Tell us about that Patreon and its question. It's you.
Oh, a Patreon question for me, Emily of the Tasteless podcast, really wiggling my way in here where I compare movies. Now I'm going to force you to do it. I've come here, I'm turning the tables on you with my question. What obscure movie would you pair with this movie to make a double feature?
Okay, in the theme of adults going back to university and embracing Greek life, I'm going to go with The House Bunny, where Anna Faris plays a Playboy bunny and she becomes the house mother for a sorority of outcasts, because I find that movie actually quite funny. I think it's quite hilarious.
Phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it's top notch. So, yeah, because I was just like, I can think of quite a lot of Greek-themed films, but I feel like that's kind of like the counterpart to this one.
I 100% is. Yeah, that would be a very natural pairing.
Yeah, I thought so. Because originally I was thinking, you could do like Anchorman or Zoolander or something, but I was just like, actually, no. I'm going flip side. I'm going woman. I'm embracing the feminine power of Anna Faris.
Well, and Luke Wilson and Anna Faris's characters would actually be a great match.
Yeah, they would. Oh my God, I'd watch that movie too.
We'll do a crossover.
Man, Hollywood should just employ us to write all their movies. Well,
they really should.
Come up with ideas. Like, we'd be at least as good as those manatees from South Park, right?
Yeah, we don't want to write it. We just want to say things, and then you pick what to write.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
I don't do any actual work. No actual work for us.
I went with what I think, basically a movie that is like if the Vince Vaughn in this had his own movie, which I actually mentioned before, Bad Teacher, starring Cameron Diaz, which is kind of this stunted growth adult who realizes that she needs to kind of get it together and that she has more in her life than she thought. And it's kind of that other dark thing where you're like, this is not a good person, but I'm enjoying watching this.
Yeah, legit. I love that movie too. That's a quality film because she is such a shit person.
She's so horrible when she's just, but I love it. I think I saw it in the theaters twice. She's just passed out on her desk. It's just so good.
It's so good. And Justin Timberlake, as always, just brings it as like that weird side
Just
character.
the nerd, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Oh, and on that note, on the note of just loving a bit of Justin Timberlake, that brings us to the end of the podcast. So thank you to Emily for joining me on this wonderful ride. Earmuffs, if you don't already fucking listen to Tasteless, then sort your shit out, okay? What's your next episode about, Emily?
Oh, I have a couple that I'm thinking about. I'm trying to remember what I literally just did 2 days ago.
2 days ago. That's so long ago. Who can remember?
I have a couple on deck. I'm trying to figure out. It's mostly me trying to wedge in a movie that I just feel like watching. But that's what I just did. Actually, I was perfectly ready for old school because I just rewatched American Pie because I did The Banshees of Inisherin versus American Pie.
Oh my God.
Talking about masculinity.
Yeah, okay. I was like, what's the theme? But actually, no, that makes perfect sense. Masculinity and friendship as well, right?
Yeah, and like legacy, what you leave
That's
behind.
A fucking weird movie.
And Sean William Scott.
Oh, I was talking about Banshees.
Oh, yes.
I was like, my mum would really like 4/5 of this movie. She wouldn't like the fingers part, which means she can't really watch the movie because it's kind of critical, but she'd like all the scenery. That'd be nice. As for us, I saw that the latest episode from Verbal Diorama is on Hidden Figures, and I love that movie. So I thought it'd be great to get Em from that show on to do a movie on our show that doesn't suck, as opposed to all of the movies she usually suggests. Love you, Em. So anyway, I'm working on setting that up. And I also have an amazing episode planned after that, which for now is a secret, but let's just say it'll set us up well for live stream for The Cure, which is coming up in May, and you better mark your calendars because we really need to make this one the best one yet, okay? So if you don't know what live stream for The Cure is, check out the show notes for this episode. And if you have any questions or suggestions or anything like that, shove them up your ass, or you can feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Movie Reviews In, or at Movie Reviews in 20Qs on Facebook or Insta, or you can email us at mritqs@gmail.com. But otherwise, stay cool, nerds. See you later, Emily.
Bye.
What a fucking shit show. I fucking need you now, tonight. I fucking need you more than ever.
Perfect. It was incredible. Honestly, the passion is what made it.
Top quality.